All right. Welcome to episode 170 of Live Drawing. I'll fix our board a little bit here. Tonight, we're going to keep working on the original art rewards for Undersea Hero. We've gotten a few done on the stream. We've done some of these 6x9s, which were the early bird special, and then we also have the sketch covers from issue 0 that we've been working on. So we've been churning through those so that when the books finally arrive, we just pack and ship, which is something I think about every day. Hey, Martha's. As for the production, the book files are ready. The printer is ready. We're waiting on one thing that I think people would be really excited about if I can get it to happen. So we're giving it this week to try to make that happen. I don't want to spoil what it is, but I will say that it'll be a big surprise and a good one. So, but yeah, everything is lined up. Files are prepared. I finished the cover print files, which are the mini prints that were part of the stretch goals. I've got the Atlantic Pacific Ocean files ready to go, which I still have the Pacific Ocean water right here, which is the print that has a little spot for Atlantic Ocean water and Pacific Ocean water, and everybody gets a print that has a touch of water from both oceans, which I thought was pretty neat. And I have to finish the field guide, but I believe those are getting printed locally, so I'll be able to get those basically immediately once the artwork is done, which I plan to try to have done over the weekend, which will put us all into next week for stuff. So we're working hard. I had a good birthday. I'm old, so we'll get to work. But yeah, things are bumbling right along, as I would say. I'll show one thing that I got for my birthday that my wife gave me that's pretty cool. This is an original drawing by Dick Giordano, and it's one that he did for like a how to make comics, how to draw book. And it's pencils and inks by Dick Giordano, and yeah, it's really neat. There's how he draws like some of the technical pens and some different stuff here. You see how he draws a nib and how he draws the rendering on that, how it draws. It's very cool. So hammer got blurry. Let's see if I can get it to. There we go. We got it to correct itself. It's auto. You can see some of the sketches. Here's the Professor Prawn one I posted. Here's one of Jan and Colonel Feathers. For the most part, I've just been drawing Undersea Hero in different poses and jokes and gags and stuff. So, because I know people want the main character usually. But whenever I draw one of the other characters, I try to have two characters or put Undersea Hero in it or something. What did you have in mind? I mean, Undersea Hero, the book is done, so I mean, you can always start scratching out your ideas for Dime Box, which will come up when we're done with all of this hooey of making this book. Thank you. I just want people. I mean, it was a low level reward for like an piece of original artwork comparatively. My pages are expensive, and I want people to still feel like they got a lot of value. I want them to be excited when they open it up, like, oh man, that's better than what I expected. It's usually the hope. I was telling a friend of mine this week that I used to dream of one day making it into random dollar bins at comic book stores, where you'd be able to flip through just piles and piles of books and be able to see me and my friends. And we attained that So now I dream a little bit higher, and that is that the dream is that when someone who has one of my books is moving, that the book that is mine gets moved into the keep pile instead of the throwaway donate pile. So that's the oh, for my birthday. Let me think on that for a second. I'd love to see you take on any Undersea Hero character you like, or any of the characters I've ever worked on, like the Tick or Ninja Turtles. Yeah, like that would be fun. Any sort of anything from Undersea Hero would be very cool. Or if you prefer like fantasy, you've seen my Helena character. It's a lady with an axe who kills monsters and goes on adventures with her friends. What I'm inking with right now is just a Tombow pen. They are fun because they're just easy, and you can get some line variants with them because you can flex the tip. It's like a fancy version of a flare pen. I've been struggling to replace some of my materials because they stopped making some of the stuff that I like to use. I got some great books for my birthday. I'm really looking forward to reading. Um, one of them is actually from a friend of mine. His name's Dan Mazer. He's an artist and a writer who they did a biography of Will Eisner. It was published by NBM, and he's just an incredible artist, and I'm really looking forward to reading this. They did a free comic book day issue preview, so if you wanted to check it out, that would be an easy way to probably find an inexpensive piece where it has a sampling of what's in this. It's not an expensive graphic novel; it's a hardcover. It's $30, so excited to read that. So Danny's an incredible artist, and I've been reading his books for a long time, and I really love his work. So I'm really looking forward to reading it. So I'll share little bits and pieces as we go along if I think I need to take a break, or if whatever the hell I'm talking about is boring the Jesus out of people. I always find it interesting when I look on my end of the stream, I can see when like clusters of people all check in at the same time. I always wonder, like, oh, did one of the platforms give me a boost? Oh, no worries. That's okay. If you want to draw a mainstream character, I generally ask my friends to draw like the Tick or sometimes Conan, any X-Men character that they like, because I read the X-Men for a long time. Um, I really started to commission my friends to draw their creator-owned characters. Like that's kind of become my new thing. Because I know that when I get asked to draw one of my characters, I get really excited. So and I try to do a really, really good drawing. Hey, Michael, good to see you. Let's get Michael's opening up. Hope everyone's doing well. If not, may things get better for you. Something I try to do is not to dwell on the lines too much and make sure that I am moving my pen with decisiveness. Because without it, the line can get stagnant. It can look too intentional. And by intentional, I just mean slow. It can look like they're dragging. Oh, very nice. Do you enjoy lettering, Michael? I do enjoy lettering. Don't know if I've ever asked you that before. Yeah, I was working on this just while I was eating lunch today. Just what did I have for lunch today? I just had some leftover potatoes. Actually, from my birthday dinner, I got to have leftovers from that, which was very nice. We got a steak at the grocery store. It's a luxury we don't have very often. It was nice. Hey, thanks, Trevor. Good to see you. Yeah, I got all kinds of awesome birthday wishes. So thank everybody that did that. I tried to thank everyone individually. There's some that posted today that I haven't gotten to that I'll do after the stream. Got to do a few things after the stream tonight. I got to make a haircut. My hair's getting uh, definitely too long. Well, yeah, doing more left-handed drills. Mentally draw from different angles. Yeah, that's definitely something that I like to do. Not left-handed, but I do try to rotate objects and work on picturing objects in my mind because I generally draw from my imagination. I will use reference. Like when I have to draw specific cars and things like that, I can't make that stuff up. You know, cars are a thing that people can recognize brands. They'll know that if you're like drawing a phony made up car. So there's certain things you can make up and get away with, and there's definitely things that you can't in illustration. And cars, shoes, I would say those are things that I generally look up reference. I have like 3 or 4 shoes that I've memorized that I'll reuse. Like I have a men's dress shoe that I draw that's kind of a loafer. I've got a couple pairs of tennis shoes. I've got a pair of women's flats that I draw over and over again. Sandals, a couple different sandals that I've just memorized. But every now and again, I have to dig in and look that stuff up and update. Like says, the extent of my lettering is using Blambot fonts I bought, but carefully select the ones. Well, I mean, I definitely went the digital route for a long time, and Jeff McClelland, he's a letterer, writer, publisher that I know, and he and like many other letterers, exclusively letter digitally. And most mainstream comics are lettered that way. And Nate Picos of Blambot is an awesome letterer and very good designer of typography. I think we have about 80% of the people in the survey done have filled it out for people that back the project. Um, I noticed that some people that wished me happy birthday hadn't filled out their surveys, so I'll probably direct message them next week or so and try to get that done. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, there's a ton of places online to find great old Golden Age comics that are public domain. Like, and there's a ton of really great characters. Like, the Face was always a cool one. That was created by God, was that Burgos? I don't remember. Um, the Clock was created by Will Eisner, and that's a cool one. He's like the masked detective character. I know they just did a big anthology of Stardust, the Super Wizard, which is the Fletcher Hanks character. And I've drawn Stardust before. He's a cool character to mess around with just because of how ridiculous the conclusions were to how he would like punish criminals. There was definitely some sort of psychological stuff getting worked out with those comics, especially and with how that artist met his demise. Oh yeah, Black Cat's cool. Yeah, the Harvey one. Joe Kubert did some work on that character. Lee Elias, another artist that worked on it. I did get some other comics, some old comics. Got some House of Secrets for my birthday. Time Warp, sci-fi stuff. I picked up another Secrets of Haunted House. I got the new Crumb comic. It's been pretty good. I got some X-Men, these new giant-sized books. The artwork's great on them. I don't love the story, but the artwork is really nice. I got a new book by Arthur Clarke, one of his undersea books. He's the gentleman that wrote 2001: A Space Odyssey. I enjoy his sci-fi. I found a couple of books I worked on in the dollar bin, so I picked those up. This one's signed by my buddy Joe St. Pierre. This is the first appearance of his characters in New Zodiacs, and I did a pinup in this. And then this is the first appearance of this cricket character and the cast from that, and I did another pinup in that. So um, I'll put these in my comics I've worked on bin and sell them at a future show or whatever. I've been reading this book, Legacies. I've talked about this. I picked up this series for $1 a piece. It's 10 issues. Um, it's got work by Joe Kubert, Garcia Lopez, Dave Gibbons, George Perez, and it just kind of goes through the ages of superheroes, and it's really good. I would recommend it. Uh, got some '90s comics. Got like Wolverine random issue. Got some late run Doctor Strange. Little Quasar, little Avengers, '90s Avengers with Epting and Tom Palmer doing the artwork. Um, yeah, and then I actually in the dollar bin got the Tick #3, first print, pretty cool. And then a book that I'd never heard of called Bread and Circuses. It's a self-published book, but when I flipped it over, I noticed that it was a recipient of the Zurich grant, which the Zurich grant was, I believe that was the one that Peter Laird set up. And then Jay Kennedy, our buddy, gave me this to draw on, and we agreed to trade sketch covers for Christmas. He wants me to draw on his new Youngblood comic book. And I read it, and if you like old Youngblood, you'll like new Youngblood. That's all I can say about it. I mean, it's a continuation of that. So if you like that stuff, you'll like the more of that stuff. When it came to image books, I was, I don't know, I went to New England Comics up in Quincy. I took a run up there for my birthday. Saw Tom for the first time since the ownership change. For people that don't know, George retired, so NEC as it was is no more. It's now the store in Brockton is run by Ralph, and the one up in Quincy is run by Tom, the longtime manager. He basically was telling me how, like, for the customers, they'll probably never notice a difference at the Quincy store, um, even with the change that had happened. And it was kind of interesting. Like, I saw Alan, who was a manager at one of the stores for a while. He popped in. I hadn't seen him since, I don't know, ages ago. I did see the post, Jonathan, from used to be South Coast show that they had opened up applications for next year, and I might see if Harry will throw me a table. I'll let you know what I hear, since I know you're a fellow patron of the show. I don't know if I have my brush pen. It might have fallen in my bag or something. It's not good. Oh no, it's right here. Duh. Yeah, and I got the graphic novel, and I got that piece of artwork from Camille, and I had the cake that I used some like store-bought little pipettes filled with frosting to draw Crackus on. Not the best drawing of Crackus, admittedly, but there were like chocolate chips on it and stuff, so I couldn't really go to town on it. TR wishes he had a mustache like that one. Don't we all? I mean, it is an enviable mustache. I don't know if you saw Patrick, but I got a copy of Danny's Will Eisner book for my birthday, so I'm excited to read the full version and not just the free comic book day excerpt. Anybody got any big plans for Thanksgiving? We're still trying to figure out what we're gonna make for dinner. We don't usually do turkey. We usually do, something else. Considering seafood, considering like what is it, lamb chops. One of the things I like about these pens in particular. I don't know your character so well, but I think that if that character would enjoy gaming of any kind, that Poseidon would want to be pals with them. We will delve into the casino owner's origin story at a certain point. I just didn't think there just wasn't room in the first issue to, even though it was 72 pages, to go into all of that. Yeah, Patrick, I actually knew that, and it's very cool that that he did that. And I actually had a friend who was serving in Iraq send me a picture of one of the newer preventative maintenance manuals that they still had on base, and it was one of the drawings that Will Eisner had done, which I found pretty amazing. And this was in uh, 2004, 2003, somewhere in there. Yeah. It was not 2007. I think I was still in college. Trevor says they did spiral ham. Spiral ham's a good choice. I do like ham. Do you do like the sweet ham with like the glaze and stuff on it, like the brown sugary stuff? Helena or Jan fighting Monster Boys. I think you cheesy who would win stuff. It's true. You know me. You know me. It's when it comes to the who would win, I'm a broken record. But I also believe that if people would have fun with it, I would never get in the way of someone else's enjoyment of it. Like with the big crossover event that they're promoting, the DC Marvel stuff. I have no interest in reading any of it. Um, but that doesn't mean that I think that it shouldn't happen or that it couldn't be good or any of that stuff. They certainly got big name talent on it. They got Dan Mora drawing it. They got all kinds of backup stories and writers and stuff. Professor Prawn's little floaty platform. My hope is that when people get these sketches that they'll be and they open the book, they'll be like, oh, these are good enough to be in the book. That would be the goal. I don't know if I'll get to that, but we're trying. Oh, slow cooker. Okay, you slow cook the ham. Nice. Getting fancy. Oh, for my birthday. I guess I'm kind of boring in that my who would win stuff is usually like, oh, how it would be how would Helena beat a Minotaur or a Cyclops or like a big monstery thing? Like, I like thinking about the storytelling element of like a pinup, even. I'll try to think about how and try to put in the image somewhere how I think that she would beat them. And to me, that's the fun part of creating stuff for her, like in that sense. It's really fun. I know her well enough to know like she's not a rocket scientist, but she's clever. She's very clever. So if she sees something in the environment or whatever, part of a tree that she could fall and it would, knock him out or something, that kind of thing. Patrick says my sister only trusts me with eggnog and rolls for Turkey Day. Well, two things that I like, so I can appreciate that. Are you one of those people that makes like eggnog from scratch, or are you like the rest of us that gets the carton? I've become an old man and I've cut back on a lot of dairy, so we'll probably be getting oat nog. Go with the hood. Nice. Name brand. You bring the name brand nog, you can walk in like you own the place. At least that's my opinion. Whenever we've done like group Thanksgivings with like family members or whatever, I usually end up doing like the appetizers or whatever, or I'll bring like a big cheese platter. I like to cook, but they tend to, whenever we go somewhere, they tend to want to take on all of that. Arthurs, didn't I send you Patrick's email? I thought I did. If I didn't, I forgot. I'm sorry. I thought I sent Patrick's email for you. So you could send the mini book. There you go. Some of the elements of these drawings, I just kind of wing it and have fun with it. I do want to distinguish different textures for different things, obviously, but not always thinking about the repercussions of if it's not, you know, something I'd want to repeat over the course of an entire book, like the texture I put on Professor Prawn's little floaty chair. I was thinking of it as being kind of pitted, like unfinished port, like baked. What is it? Like pottery that had just come out of a kiln with no glaze. That was kind of what I was thinking about the texture. Daniel. Dan Caliban? That Daniel? I'm sorry. I thought I had sent Patrick's. I don't remember Daniel's. I'll have to check my emails. It came from my website. You say those I can look up pretty easy because I just have to search my contact form. There's like a little button I can flip, and it'll pull up all the ones from that contact form. Whitaker. Okay. I'll just search for that contact form input on my inbox. It's saved me a couple of times when I've had to look for stuff. I thought it'd be fun for this one just to have Undersea Hero in the background looking at Professor Prawn. Sticking his like lower lip out, I thought that would be a good little tweak on his usual expression. My wife's watching the Revolutionary War documentary, the new one from PBS, and she's getting real into it. I could hear her from over here. Did I see the 2018 documentary about Fred Rogers? I did not. No, was it good? Being a regular on Nantucket, I would when I was a kid, I would see him around. He was out in he lived out in Mattocket, which is over on the west side of the island. Okay, yeah. Do you know? Is it on any streaming platforms right now? Like I've got a couple. I've got what do I have? Of the pay ones, I know I've got because I got it for a birthday present or Christmas last year. I've got Paramount. Um, and we have Amazon. We have that one. Shooting a shot of Mr. Rogers at the dentist was the scariest thing he ever made. That's funny. Middle of the nose. Do I have anything else in the pile over here? I think I showed everything off. Yeah, I showed everything off. Got the new Crumb book. I'm excited to read this Arthur Clarke book. I've read some of his ocean science fiction stuff, and it's up my alley. So very cool front cover painting. So his little paperbacks like that I can read pretty quick. I wish I had more time to read just in general, but I think we can all say that. All right, let's do a little cleanup up here and see if we can get rid of some of this. We're gonna have to do the burst effect, and we're gonna add a little white here and there. I tend to use two different erasers when I'm cleaning up because the hard plastic can just pull up all the pen right away if I press down too hard. So if I use a gum eraser first, it can more gently just pull that stuff off. And it doesn't get it all, so when I go back in with the plastic eraser, I don't have to press down as hard and it won't pull everything off. Prawn's a character where I don't know if he'll be in like every story. He's a character that I think a future story that he needs to have a solo without the correlator. I think he needs to have a feature to himself, and I'd be interested to see what I think he would do for his plan without that. Because I always find it interesting that team ups tend to draw out the best and worst in each character, and in some ways they're on their best behavior and trying to do right. Like they don't want to be the reason that the team up fails, but inevitably it just happens. So I would be interested to think about how Professor Prawn would function doing his evil deeds on his own without any sort of pressure or other person to think about. Time is 8:46. We're moving right along. Patrick, I do have one funny story, Will Eisner story that I wish, I hope someday Doug turns it into a cartoon because I just think that it's a very funny auto-bio moment that all cartoonists can relate to, that travel to do conventions and like rely on them for their income, and it's a thing that you have to do to survive in the industry. And he was driving a long way to a show. I don't even want to say where it was because someone might figure out which promoter, blah blah blah, drama, etc. But he had just driven through the night, and Eisner was a guest there, and it was a 3-day show. It was the Friday. He just got in, and he was just looking to grab something to eat in the green room while he set up his table, getting in a little late. And he goes in, and he's right behind Will Eisner in line for a sandwich. And he sees in the tray that there are 2 sandwiches left. And he's like, "Oh, perfect. He'll grab a sandwich, I'll grab a sandwich." Yeah, I never had that happen before. Just had to unplug and replug in the camera. So sorry if you missed out on the story. Maybe it's best. One of those things is in retrograde this week, so technology is, I guess, acting funny. Okay, you want me to pick up right where that was? So yeah, he was in line behind Will Eisner. There were 2 sandwiches in the bin. He was like, "This is perfect. I'll get a sandwich. He'll get a sandwich. We'll all go home happy. Everybody gets a sandwich." And while he's standing there soaking wet, having driven all day and into the night, exhausted, hungry, Will Eisner takes both sandwiches. And our hero is left to stand there, sandwichless. Thank you. I want people to be happy with these sketches. And then be like, "Hey, this was the best early bird special I ever got." Even though it's, late, it's still the best product that they got. I don't know. I'm sure somebody will leave a mean comment, and then someone will leave a happy comment, so they'll balance out. I do want to say something out loud that I'm thankful for. This is actually the first day in a while that my back doesn't hurt, which is nice. Don't know why. Just want to be grateful for that. Flip over. I'm putting a little more ink on these than I would if I was coloring it, just because they're black and white. So the only tonality they're going to get is from the ink. I guess somebody could color it if they wanted to. That would be fun. Haven't heard from Doug in a while. He used to check in on the live streams every now and again. He's an artist I want to hire to do a cover for a future Undersea Hero. For these are just original drawings that people get or is getting in the Kickstarter. If they picked the early bird special with an ink sketch, they just get a 6x9. And I picked this size because I wanted it to, when you get the book, it'll be in a bag and a board. And I just wanted to be able to slide it in there so it was protected. Like that was the idea, was so that the drawing would be safe and it would ship with the book. And, you're going to get the book. And then I think it's 1, 2, 3, 5 prints. And if you got a drawing, you get a drawing. And then you get the mini book with it too. So like you get 2 books and you get your drawing if you got a drawing. And everyone who got a physical reward that got a book gets a book and then some prints. The little mini prints. For the pages themselves, they're drawn on 11x17 with a 10x15 live area, and that's pretty standard. That way, when it prints at 66% of the original size. So, and when you shrink it down, it creates, it gets rid of some of the bounciness in the lines and some of the imperfections, and it just makes it so that it looks smoother than it otherwise does. And actually, some artists for a very long time, including Will Eisner, as we talked about, and Jack Kirby and many other artists, drew twice up. So rather than reducing it to like 60% of size, they were actually drawing it as twice the size of a comic book page. And some people think that, when they switched to the smaller paper, that it really affected the quality of the artwork. And some artists have picked back up doing twice up, even Eric Larson for a while. And I think he still is. I think he's still drawing twice up for Savage Dragon. He switched to that some time ago as an experiment, and he was happy with it, so he stuck with it. I know Paul Pope has done some twice up pages. I've never done twice up pages, but I have done it for covers before. And I do notice a difference, and I think it creates a level of detail and a fineness of line that, otherwise I personally can't get. Some artists could probably sit there and noodle with like rapidographs and get the finest lines in the history of lines and, make them sing, but my hands are too shaky. You guys have seen me draw for a long time. I have shaky hands, and I have to use different techniques to try to get smoother lines. Like I've got to draw a little faster than some people. I have to pull lines instead of pushing them like some artists do. I have to make certain changes just based on what my physical abilities are. I don't have that 96-mile-an-hour fastball. But I'm crafty. I can change speeds. I've got good braking stuff. Pretty accurate. Yeah. You gotta let it dry a little bit, but I want to draw the little energy lines at the back of his. Get our plastic eraser. I mentioned I use 2 different types of erasers. This is the gum eraser, and then this is just your typical mono plastic eraser. It's got a bunch of blue on it, so we might turn it around and use the other side to clean up in here a little bit. And you can see it pulls the rest of that stuff out. And because I'm not pushing down as hard, it's going to be a little bit more forgiving, and I'm not going to have to go in and re-ink things. Because when you push down really hard with a plastic eraser, it can pull up your ink lines from a pen because it's just sitting on top of the paper. I actually think Professor Prawn is one of the more gregarious characters, where if someone were to have to voice that character, they would have to be very over the top. But yeah, that's how I picked this size for these drawings. I just wanted them to fit in the bags and boards and in the Gemini mailers so that they would be as safe as possible traveling, with the shipping being shipped. Because I've gotten stuff from other Kickstarters that were just stuffed in envelopes and things, and I try really hard to pack things well. Let's get our white out here. There's some little details, like where this is. I want to add just a little breaks where the energy lines are. And this is kind of my modern version of, I don't know if you've ever heard of people using a razor blade when they're doing this sort of things. If I use this Pentel and I pull it a certain way, it'll give me the little bumps as if I'm pulling with a razor blade, even on smooth paper. Let me just go down here. There we go. And that's really it for one of our little 6x9 sketches. I might noodle in it a little bit and add a little bit of reinforced ink here and there, but since we finished the drawing, I think we'll just wrap it up for the night. I don't have to stay on just to stay on. Oh, I see a tangent. I gotta fix that. Just right here. That's where I put that drop shadow. I gotta get rid of that. All right. Well, thanks everybody for coming out tonight. Cut a little early, and that way we don't all have to be exhausted. Thanks everybody for hanging out, and hope everybody has a good rest of your week and enjoy your weekends. And we'll see you next week on Thanksgiving Eve. So thanks very much, everybody, and have a good night. I'll see you.